Do you have what it takes to look into the two evil eyes? Welcome to the 10th instalment in my long-running Dario Argento review series. Today I'm going to be covering Two Evil Eyes, which is technically a horror anthology, albeit one which only has two stories on it. I don't think I've ever seen a film before which has had two separate stories on it forming one complete package. We never did get Quentin Tarantino's Grindhouse in this country. Some miserable bastard somewhere said, no, the UK aren't having that. We're going to release both films completely separate and months apart. I've seen loads of anthologies that have had 3 stories on them, 4 stories, 5, and obviously I've seen thousands of films which have just been one story, but I don't think I've ever seen one with 2. So this promised to be something new for me, and I think it was a good time in Argento's filmography for there to be something a bit different and weird like this. If you saw my review for Opera, you'll know that that was the first time since I've been doing these reviews that I didn't give a positive score. I only gave an average score for that film. So rather than just jump into yet another giallo, maybe it was a good time for a little side adventure, something different. But he wouldn't be doing this alone. This was actually a collaboration with George Romero. It's a bit of a strange combination, Romero and Argento, 2 directors I totally love, but very, very different styles. I know they'd known each other a long, long time before they did Two Evil Eyes. Argento did a little bit of post-production on Dawn of the Dead, I believe. He cut his own version of the film. But certainly, it's not exactly a combination that makes much sense to me. So I did wonder to myself, are these 2 stories going to be connected in any way? I didn't do any research into this film at all. I didn't look at a trailer. I had no idea coming into this what the Two Evil Eyes actually meant or anything like that. I literally just put the disc in the machine knowing nothing about either of the 2 stories, but certainly it would have made more sense to me if Argento had done a collaboration with Mario Bava or something, or if Romero had done a collaboration with Paul W. Anderson, you know, the master and the student of zombie films working together. Argento and Romero is a strange one, but anyway, I put it on, I watched it, and I'm about to go into what I thought of it. I'm going to start by talking a little bit about the Romero segment, which is the first one on the film, and then I'll move into talking about Argento's section, and then at the end of it all, I guess, I'll try and sum up and try and judge this package as a whole. This is a story about an old rich guy who's dying, and he's got this much younger gold digger wife who wants to cheat him out of his estate before he dies. So even though it's not explicitly stated in the film, I think this guy's will isn't leaving everything to his wife, and she wants to change that. So together with her secret lover, she wants to trick this guy into changing his will by hypnotizing him so that he'll get on the phone in a hypnotized state and tell his solicitor that he wants to change the will. I don't think this could be done in real life. I'm pretty sure that you can't change a will over the phone, can you? Surely you'd need like proper documents and signatures and stuff, especially when you're talking about millions of dollars and that kind of thing. But the hypnosis angle is crucial to the story because this guy eventually does die, but they don't take him out of his hypnotized state before he dies. So even though his physical form is dead, his soul sort of remains animated. And not just that, it brings back other lost souls from beyond the grave sort of thing. So this dead guy basically gets up and starts walking again, even though he's dead, and takes revenge on this woman and her lover. So it's sort of a tale of revenge from beyond the grave kind of thing. But I've got to say, I didn't really like it. It doesn't even feel like a horror story for like the first 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. It feels like one of those dodgy TV movies where a couple of crooks are trying to pull a fast one, and in the final scene they'll get arrested, and then as soon as it's finished, the next thing on the channel will be a game show or something. It would have easily fitted this story if Columbo had turned up halfway through and just started to poke holes into this woman's story. Jessica, her name, is played by Adrienne Barbeau. Very good to see her, by the way. I know her from The Fog and that other Carpenter film, Escape from New York. She still looked great, even in 1990. The story, though, here is too long. If this had been 20, 25 minutes, it'd be short and snappy, and we'd had the punchline at the end and just moved on, fine. But we have to sit through this for an hour, and there's just not enough quality in the later stages to justify it being that long. I think they've just dragged it out, in all honesty, because they knew they had to make these two stories quite long. But this feels like something that belongs in the film Creepshow, you know, a short, sharp jolt and then a comic strip bit, and then we move on to the next story. This just doesn't suit being almost an hour long. So sorry, George, not a fan of this one. And the sad thing is, because this story isn't that great, then I feel like, well, I felt when I was watching this that the overall movie therefore couldn't be great, because if you've only got two stories in an anthology, then they both need to be good, really. It's all about ratios. If you've got three stories in an anthology, then you can afford to have one dodgy one, as long as the other two are all right. You know, 66% of the movie, therefore, is going to be fine. But by the time I finished this story, I kind of thought to myself, well, even if the next one's great, that half the movie is already a dud by this point. So I wasn't in a great stage mentally with this film, but I still had Argento's one to come. This one's a lot better, thankfully. It's about a photographer who takes pictures of dead people for a living. He works for the police. I'm not sure if this is the sort of thing you would do freelance, or whether this character actually works for the police department in an official capacity. But the job he's doing is slowly making him go homicidal, and he eventually takes his anger out on this stray cat, which has turned up at the house where he and his girlfriend live. His girlfriend really loves this cat. He doesn't. He's the sort of character, this guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He's played by Harvey Keitel, brilliant actor, lots of great credits. I'm just going to call him Harvey Keitel, actually. This character doesn't have much empathy for anybody, human or animal, so he tries to kill this cat, but the cat comes back randomly, like a couple of days later. It's a magic cat. It seems to have 9 lives, literally. And this really offends Harvey Keitel. It seems to offend his sense of masculinity, I guess. That's my interpretation, anyway, of the psychology going on in this story. And from that point onwards, it seems only a matter of time before this guy starts killing humans, almost to prove himself, I suppose. All the time, the cat just keeps coming back every time it's killed. There's a great twist that happens halfway through this film, which I did not expect. It totally made me go, whoa, shit. I won't spoil what it was, but I was quite impressed with that. I did get into a little bit of trouble with the wife over this one, because when I was just about to start the second part, she randomly came into the living room and sat down. And she's a big cat lover, and she did not take kindly to seeing Harvey Keitel throttling cats, like, and she had to walk out of the room. And I thought to myself, oh God, I'm going to be in the doghouse over this one later. But this story is a lot better than the first one. It actually feels like it should be an hour long, or close to an hour long. You know, there's no wasted screen time here. There's a very clear arc going on from start to finish. Some really shocking moments of violence, some good surprises. I liked it. I'm not sure how much of a role Romero and Argento had in terms of choosing their stories for this film, how much they had towards writing, etc. But certainly Argento's story is the best. If I had to slap a rosette onto one of them with a little number 1 on it, it would be on Argento. So with this second story, he certainly rescued this film to a point, but overall I kind of finished the whole movie thinking to myself, well, I'm looking forward to getting back onto Argento's normal fare for my next review. Time to show you the version of the film I've got. Here's my Blu-ray of Two Evil Eyes. I sort of regret buying it now, though, because I can't see myself watching it again, in all honesty. There are some features on the disc. Bizarrely, there's an interview with cult actress Caroline Munro. Why? She's not in the movie. She's not in either story. Why is she being interviewed on this Blu-ray? Just another bizarre thing about this whole bizarre project. And to be honest, the only reason I bought this is because I couldn't rent it anywhere. I looked on all the normal places, Amazon, Netflix, etc., etc. I couldn't find it anywhere, so my only choice was literally to buy the film online. Luckily, I was able to get that copy for about £11, £12, and that was brand new as well. If this had been one of those really expensive Blu-rays, I probably wouldn't have bought it blind. I probably would have had to have paused my Argento review series for a while. But because it was reasonably cheap, I thought, okay, I'll take the plunge on this one. But now that I've got it, honestly, I think it's probably just going to sit on the shelf and gather dust. Right, so let's get to the bag of terror and find out what sort of score I'm going to give this. But 1, 2 bloody axes out of 5. That is certainly not 1 for both stories. If I had to rate both stories individually, I'd probably give Romero's effort 1.5 out of 5, and maybe Argento's effort 3 out of 5. So I'm going to go in between those two scores to get an overall score, and I've decided on 2 out of 5. There it is. I don't really recommend this film unless you're a die-hard Argento and Romero fan and you just can't help yourself. Fine, give it at least one watch if you can get hold of it. I certainly wouldn't recommend buying it like I did, so I don't know. Leave that one entirely up to you, but there we have it. That is the end of my review for Two Evil Eyes. I'll be back soon for Trauma, which is Argento's next film, which I believe was filmed in America. It's more of an American-style Argento film. Could be interesting. And I don't think the reviews for that one are too bad, so I guess we'll see what we see with that one. So until next time, cheerio, bye-bye.